My name is Dan DeWalt. I'm the founder of Restorative Community Justice of Southern Vermont. And the reason I founded this organization was I'm a part-time worker in a high school, and we started doing restorative justice work in that high school. And I was immediately impressed by kids who just were having a terrible time, would go through a restorative process and realize that they didn't have to necessarily always be going through a terrible time. It would actually change their life in school. But they would leave school and they would go back home to a retributive society. So it seemed to me that if we want to really change our culture, if we want to change the way we deal with conflict, we can't just do a little in the schools and a little here and a little there. We have to do it everywhere in the community. So our organization is founded to bring restorative practices to everybody. When we talk about conflict, we are so locked into this concept of bad person, good person, bad act, appropriate act. And what restorative justice does is it brings everyone back to connection. When you do an act that's antisocial, you take somebody's stuff, you hit another student, whatever it might be, quite often there's that act in itself is just a manifestation of any number of issues. And if we just deal with the consequences of the altercation and punishment, we never get, ever get to why people do what they do. And so they will always go back to doing it again. But with restorative practices, we take the perpetrator, quote unquote, the actor, which is, I think, a much better term, and we say to them, what was happening for you? What were you feeling at the time? What were you thinking at the time? Who is affected by your actions? When a person who's in trouble has the disciplinarian say to them, what were you feeling? What did you need? What do you need now? That's like a revelation. But this person is asking me about me. He's asking me about what I feel, what are my needs. Nobody's ever, in some cases, no one has ever asked this particular person that question before. And certainly not in a situation where they find themselves in trouble. So this person never gets a chance to even reflect on their own needs, reflect on why they did what they did. When that child acts out and then just gets punished for acting out, it just further complicates the problem. It just further stuffs the real reasons why that child is acting out down deeper, where they'll just come back out and manifest themselves again. Restorative practice is showing the community and the world slowly that there are other ways of doing this, there are other considerations to make, and we can function where people who find themselves doing antisocial actions can actually figure out what's going on for them, figure out how to re-regulate themselves, and be able to adapt and fit into a culture which is not necessarily that welcoming to them.